Okay, welcome candidates and audience members to the Los Altos Hills Town Council Candidate Forum. I am Karen Bricker, board member of the League of Women Voters, Los Altos Mountain View. First, a few housekeeping items. Today's forum will last 60 minutes. Due to the nature of a webinar, we cannot provide technical assistance to attendees. All forums will be recorded and available the day after each event on our elections page. That elections page is our initials, LWV, LAMV.org. That's League of Women Voters, Los Altos Mountain View.org. And our YouTube channel link will also be added to the Q&A. It is right at the top of our elections page, and you can see all of the candidate forums looking at the YouTube feed. Visible on your screen will be our moderator, our candidates, and the timer app. Audience members are not shown. Please submit any questions about the event through the Q&A, just the event. When answered, it will be visible to all attending. Chat will not be available this evening. Questions for candidates have been submitted with registrations. We have combined similar questions to be able to cover as wide a range of topics as possible. We won't have time for additional questions from the audience. Now I would like to introduce tonight's moderator, Ellen Wheeler. Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you, Karen. My name is Ellen Wheeler, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Los Altos Mountain View. I'd like to welcome all of the candidates who are running to be your next council members, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending our forum today. The League of Women Voters is a nonprofit organization of women and men that promotes informed, active participation in government. We do not support, oppose, or evaluate political candidates or parties. But after careful study, we do take positions on political issues. The League invites anyone who is interested in supporting democracy and local government to join us. Here is the format for today's forum. Each candidate will make a 1-minute opening statement. Afterwards, we will begin our question and answer segment. Questions were selected to be relevant to all candidates and to provide useful information to the audience about issues in this race. Candidates will be given 1 minute to respond to that question. Finally, the candidates will have 1 minute to make a closing statement. An electronic timer will display each candidate's remaining time. This timer will also randomly shuffle the order of candidates responding to each question. The timer will display the names of the current speaker in big letters at the top of the window, and the next speaker will appear in small letters at the bottom of the window. All candidates have agreed to abide by the following forum protocols. 1, time limits. When the timer line turns red, I will say thank you. Please complete your current sentence and stop. 2, respect. Candidates will not interrupt each other. 3, fairness. Marketing materials will not be visible on the candidate's screen. Now I would like to introduce the 5 candidates who are running for the 3 open seats in the Los Altos Hills Town Council. These are all 4-year terms. Please raise your hand as you are introduced. And this is going to be by alphabetical order, by last name. Stanley Q. Mock. Raj Reddy. Lisa H. Schmidt. J.T. Sutaria. Linda G. Swan. Thank you for participating in today's forum. We are now ready to begin. Linda Swan, you will be the first person to have the opportunity to make your opening statement. You are muted.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters and everyone participating in the webinar. I grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona. After graduating from Arizona State University with a BS in mechanical engineering, I began working for GE in San Jose. As part of an engineering training program, GE sent me to Berkeley to get an engineering, get my MS in engineering and then an MBA at Santa Clara University. I am analytical and business oriented. While working with NASA, I oversaw the design and building of training hardware for space shuttle astronauts. I have held many volunteer positions in Los Altos Hills over more than 2 decades, and I'm currently on the history committee. I was endorsed by the town crier, the current mayor, former mayors, and community leaders. I can and will do my best to represent the residents on the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Raj Reddy.
I have had the distinct pleasure of living in Los Altos Hills for 33 years. I believe strongly in preserving a community and am deeply committed to serving our residents. I have participated in numerous volunteer activities and served on the Environmental Initiative Committee as a member and co-chair for over 15 years. I will work to resolve the current issues facing a community, provide our residents safety from continued threat of wildfires, retain our Los Altos Hills County Fire District, which was accomplished on Tuesday. We need to enhance the disaster readiness and communications during crisis. I want to collaborate with internet providers to offer high-speed internet and fiber optics throughout our town, which is essential during COVID for both work and educational needs. I'd like to eliminate hazards of overhead wires running through trees in both public and private lands. I will work towards putting power lines underground and explore creative financing options with the minimum.
Thank you, Mr. Reddy.
Thank you.
Jay Sutaria.
Hello and thank you. I'm Jay Sutaria, and I'm running for City Council because I believe we deserve a town government which will proactively address fire risk, spend responsibly, serve the residents, foster community, and preserve our semi-rural environment. In my professional career, I've built large teams, managed multi-billion-dollar budgets, and confronted challenging problems, all while building consensus. I believe these skills will be significant assets as a council member. Collegiality is important, but this doesn't mean going along to get along. There are honest, respectful ways to pose critical questions and ensure our residents are heard and their concerns are addressed. I oppose the $3 million town hall expansion and the $500,000 snack shack. And I want to see our town fix internal procedures, which led to our 15-year, $55 million non-competitive garbage contract with Green Waste. We must proactively address fire risk and improve our infrastructure, including high-speed internet and undergrounding. And we must truly listen to our residents' needs and concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Stanley Mock.
Hello, my name is Stan Mock, and I am running for Los Altos Hills City Council. This is my 24th year in town, and I want to give gratitude back to Los Altos Hills by using my financial background. I've been part of a team on the Finance and Investment Committee for 14 years. My emphasis has been on pension funding. I am proud to say that our town's pension is funded at 84%, and our OPEB accounts are funded at 100%. I am also proud to say that our town, through the efforts of our FIC members, both past and present, is in the top 94% of California cities as judged by state financial calculators. It is really important to have someone in council who truly understands finances in depth. I believe that a person with deep understanding in finance can add immense value to our town going forward. I am that person. Please vote for me on November 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Schmidt.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Lisa Schmidt. I'm excited about running for City Council. My family and I have lived here for 28 years. We raised our 2 children and now they're successfully launched. I'm an engineer by training. My husband and I have participated in many startups, including some that worked really well, which was nice. I want now to give back to my town. I think it's a really special place to live. I think we are all fortunate to be here, and I think all of us recognize that. So this will be my job for the next 4 years, is to participate in the city council as a member. Some of the things that I see addressing kind of off the bat, or things that I think will be more immediate concerns, are fire hardening. And I think all of us agree on this. This is a big issue, and it's going to take a lot of work and reflection, but it was a good thing that happened this week. I also, as most of us do, appreciate our rural atmosphere and pathways. And finally, I agree, undergrounding is an important thing that we need to do. I'm really looking forward to this debate, and let's get started.
Thank you. And we will. So we have time for about 7 questions. We'll see how it goes. So I'm ready to ask the first question when I get the first name up on by Mr. Timer. Okay, Mr. Sutaria, your question, and everyone will have the same question. What is the greatest challenge Los Altos Hills will face over the next 2 years? And unmute yourself. There you go.
Sorry, thank you. I think the most pressing issue that we face is with regard to our fire risk. We need to improve our disaster preparedness, and we need to take proactive steps in doing so, including utility undergrounding. I think that the past couple of months have reminded us of the tremendous risk we face. Many roads don't meet the current county fire department spec, an issue our planning commission has been raising since 2018. Many homes do not have 2 ways out, as fire professionals recommend. Residents are having their insurance canceled. Invasive weeds, dry brush, and dead trees present a significant fuel issue, and our overhead power lines and utility poles make us more vulnerable. In addition to undergrounding, we also need to educate our residents and make it easier for them to remove dead trees and other fuel and to create defensible space. We need to also invest in our roads and pathways to ensure safe evacuation routes, and we need to reactivate neighborhood networks and neighborhood evacuation drills. In a serious disaster, our emergency services will be overwhelmed, so we need to ensure our residents have the skills to help themselves and their neighbors until help arrives. Thank you.
Thank you. And if anyone would, anytime during the debate, would like me to repeat the question, just ask me. Mr. Mock?
Will you please repeat the question?
Yes. What is the greatest challenge Los Altos Hills will face over the next 2 years?
I think that the greatest challenge is going to be something that we don't know about. The fire risk is being addressed currently. And I think that yesterday's decision, or the day before yesterday's, about the fire district being retained in Los Altos Hills for at least another year is just a really good deal. But I'm really concerned about SB 35. I'm really concerned about SB 1120. Now, SB 1120 is the charge from Southern California, Scott Wiener, to be able to put multiple units on residential lots here in Los Altos Hills. I am a proponent of Los Altos Hills being 1 acre minimum to be able to retain our rural atmosphere the way that it is today. I am not here because I want to have multiple units in my backyard, but yet if we do not get this all together, folks, then what's going to be happening is that we're going to have this mandated, and I really object to that. That's our biggest challenge.
Thank you. Raj Reddy.
Thank you. I hate to repeat myself here, but I think one of the challenge is, like everybody said, resident safety from continued threat of wildfires. And we need to enhance the removal of dead trees, brush clippings removal, and also enhance the disaster readiness and communications during crisis. And another thing I mentioned earlier is the internet providers to offer high-speed fiber optics throughout the town, which is absolutely essential considering what's going on regarding COVID. I also think another challenge we're going to have is regarding the affordable housing and housing density. We should provide ADUs and supplemental units and still be able to maintain 1 acre lots and maintain rural environment. New state laws have established statewide regulations for placement and construction of ADUs. Los Altos Hills is moving forward with amendments to the zoning code to update towns' auxiliary dwelling until ordinance to be consistent with these laws.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Lisa Schmidt.
I'm going to have to agree with Jay and Raj there. I think our most important issue over the next 2 years is fire safety. And that was really brought home this year by just incredible wildfires we've seen throughout California in places where we wouldn't even expect them. I think there's a lot of working parts to fire readiness, and that we've got the parts and we need to weave them together so that it's a more comprehensive plan, that we understand what people should do. As Jay said, we need to let residents know how they can best harden their property and also how they can react if there is a fire. We now have the Los Altos Hills County Fire District that we're able to work with again more closely to create a comprehensive plan. We need to work on looking at building codes. There are things we can help in that reason. In that way, there communication that we can improve with town residents. I would put together a task force that tries to weave all these strands together so that we have a good, solid plan for all of our citizens. It's going to take a while, but that would be my first objective.
Thank you. Linda Swan.
Thank you. Well, I have to agree that wildfire is the biggest issue facing it. I have trained as a cert member, and I understand, I've seen videos of what happened up in Paradise and some of the other places that have had very, very terrible wildfires. And I'm happy that the Los Altos Hills Community Fire District has not been dissolved. We've kicked that can down the road for another year. So we have to do what we can to make sure that we can keep that. And continuing our brush chipping programs and removal of fire load as much as possible. And then I also think that we need to look at building codes and make sure that the future buildings in this building, or when buildings are remodeled, have as much fire protection as possible. And so I agree that wildfire has got to be it. We've lost some insurance cancellations in this town, and we need to face that. Thank you.
Thank you. We're ready for the second question. Lisa Schmidt, you're number one for the second question. The second question is, what are your priorities for capital improvement projects? Is the proposed town hall expansion one of them?
I think we should continue with the town hall expansion. We've planned for it. It's time to get going. We look at what happened in Los Altos with the community center, and it just dragged on and on and on. I think there's been enough support that it ought to go forward. I do worry a little bit about the cost of the expansion. I think we need to keep careful tabs on it. If I were going to put my money somewhere going forward, it would be in working on undergrounding and putting together a comprehensive fire plan. The undergrounding does several things for us. It would help in fire prevention. It's a way that we can combine it to get high-speed fiber internet. I think I said that wrong, but high-speed fiber connections that would benefit all of us. It can be done at the same time. And finally, and this is not a small issue, it helps the aesthetics of the town. It's the old lines are getting pretty cruddy looking and falling all over. So I think those are three things, and there are some good vehicles for financing this, and we ought to pursue those as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Swan.
Hi. Well, the one thing I disagree with Lisa on is on the town hall expansion. I think $3 million, $3 to $4 million for 1,000 square feet of additional space is a lot of money. And because of COVID, I think a lot of people can, and maybe in the future will be working from their homes or remotely. And so I think right now we don't really know how much space will be needed at town hall. And so I think that is something that should be postponed, even though we started it a while back. I think the world has changed. I agree that undergrounding of utilities is something we should work on. It's very expensive, so it will be a long-term project. We'll probably have to take it a piece at a time and determine what are the highest priority areas, high fire risk, high winds, whatever we decide are the highest priorities. And internet, I agree with her on that one too. There are places in town that have no internet, and how can you be in Silicon Valley and not have internet? So, thank you.
Thank you. Stanley Mock.
I would like to review the town hall expansion. And the reason for that is because I agree with Linda that because of the COVID-19 situation, there may be a diminished need for that type of space. Los Altos Hills has what seems to be quite a bit of money in its cash accounts. However, when we consider the infrastructure that we need to put in, and that is the undergrounding of the electricity and fiber optic cables, I think we need as much of that as possible. So if we spend our money on these little things, like 3 million here, 4 million there, we're not going to get the 55 million that we need or the 50 million. And PG&E is going to pay for half of that anyway. So there are a number of projects that we have that are so serious to this town. We just have to have them, and we don't. So we need the underground. We need to start dedicated accounts now in order to get this thing done.
Thank you. Jay Sitaria.
I believe, in general, we should engage more with our residents before spending public funds on large capital improvements. I agree with Stan and Linda in opposing the $3 million town hall expansion, as well as I oppose the $500,000 snack shack rebuild. Both these projects have a high cost and limited benefit for our residents. Indeed, a 2016 survey of our residents showed more than half oppose building more space to host meetings and recreation programs. I support undergrounding and believe it's a necessary step to reduce our fire risk. But here too, we need to educate residents about the necessity, the cost, and funding options, show them that we have a clear plan and timeline, and put the question to them. A project of this magnitude with all the construction-related impacts can't succeed without the residents being on board. Also, since the fall of 2018, council members have received multiple letters from the Planning Commission calling attention to the general issue of fire safety on narrow roads. In addition to the specific issue of East Sunset, a public road, there are many other narrow roads in town, both public and private, which have similar fire safety hazards, and we need to devise a holistic approach. In general, we should spend our money in ways that our residents support. Thank you.
Thank you. Raj Reddy.
Our town has excellent financial condition with significant saving reserves. The big commitment expenditures are town hall addition, pathways, and staff upgrades. I recommend spending more on fire protection, disaster readiness, and communication. Capital spending on road upgrades and maintenance.
So Mr. Reddy's screen has frozen a little bit.
It's an internet condition.
It might not benefit to
And the timer has stopped also.
sewer. Something is wrong?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the timer is stopped intentionally.
Thank you.
Yes.
Raj,
Sorry.
keep seeing the bar.
Oh,
He left. Can we come back to Raj? He may be trying to log on again.
So Karen, do you suggest that we continue on to question 3 or wait
Yes, and
for?
yes, and
Next.
then when Raj comes back, to let him answer question 2.
All right. So here we go. Timer. So Raj, if you can hear us, we're going on to question 3, and then we will come back and let you answer question 2.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you.
Sorry, I think my internet got disconnected or something happened, so I had to reconnect.
Okay, let's let Raj then finish do question number 2, and then we'll do question number 3.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for
And
your
I would
patience.
propose letting Raj start from the beginning of
Yes.
your answer.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Our town is in excellent financial condition with significant savings in reserves. The big committed expenditures for our town hall, pathways, and staff upgrades. I'm recommending spending more on fire protection, disaster readiness, and communication. Capital spending on road upgrades and maintenance. Improve sustainability of town staff. Turnover has been difficult. There might be a benefit relating to the new town hall renovations. We need to take a closer look to see the feasibility and the costs. Continue ongoing maintenance of pathways and development of completion of the pathway system. The capital projects are identified by infrastructure, pathways, road rehab, sewer, and investment bond. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm glad you got your internet.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. Okay, so now we will go on to question 3. And the first person to answer question 3 is going to be Stanley Mock. And the question is, residents strongly support the Los Altos Hills County Fire District and are very concerned about fire safety. How would you improve on the district's programs and services?
First of all, I see that the Los Altos Hills Fire District is part of the infrastructure of Los Altos Hills. I think that the improvements that could be made are the following. Along the roads that we have to have like parks where along the sides of the roads, we can clean them up, all the leaves and all the branches and so forth, so that we don't have that fuel for that fire. I think that the pathways that we have are very much impacted with leaves and brushes and dead trees and so forth. So I think that those have to be cleaned up. I also think that the fire district has maybe the possibility of going to each one of our residences and discovering which residences have more debris than they should, and maybe help to take down some of the debris. Some of the trees that are dead, for example, on our lots, and there are a lot of dead trees, should be taken away. Some of the leaves that are on the sides of the paths, they have to be taken away as well.
Thank you. Jay Sutaria.
Thank you.
What happened?
Sorry. Sorry, you're ready to go. Okay. So thank you. I agree that the events of this past week with the county deferring the decision to consolidate the county fire district was very important. I believe that the LAHCFD and its local control and local decision-making and local programs is an instrumental part of ensuring our town's ongoing safety in the event of wildfire. I believe that the county fire district has a number of very valuable programs. In addition to CERT and PEP training, they are now looking at reactivating neighborhood networks and conducting neighborhood evacuation drills, including the first one on Saddle Mountain a few weeks ago. In addition to that, I believe that there's an opportunity to leverage the fire district and relationships with fire professionals to ensure that the town and the town residents are doing everything they can to minimize the risk of wildfire damage and encourage ongoing safety, including possibly making Los Altos Hills a fire-wise community, which could help address insurability issues. In addition to encouraging residents and staff to maintain fire safety and create defensible space, we also need to look to secure our evacuation routes and continue to protect our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Raj Reddy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am lost again. Please go ahead with somebody else. I'm just trying to get back on there.
Okay.
Sorry.
So can we go on to the next?
What's going on here?
We can't hear you.
I can't seem to get on. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we see you and we hear you.
Oh, you see me and hear me. Okay.
Yes.
Then I'll go ahead and talk about fire safety then, okay?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Los Altos Hills County Fire District is doing a good job of removing dead trees, extensive brush chipping and removal to keep Los Altos Hills safe from fires. The Los Altos Hills Fire District has an excellent community response system, disaster readiness aimed at fire prevention. Because of severe wildfire potential due to vegetation, hazards on private and public lands, and a vast open space and parks, I support the 30 feet safety zone around the house and the volume of vegetation to a minimum. I also support a second zone of 100 feet around the house. The area between 30 and 100 feet should be maintained as a reduced fuel zone. Right? Also, my concern is regarding the overhead wires running through trees in public and private lands. There seems to be a lack of coordination and accountability between PG&E and Santa Clara County Fire Department. We need to coordinate with these departments and make sure that the trees are appropriately trimmed. Thank you.
Okay, Linda Swan.
Thank you. Well, I agree that residents strongly support the Los Altos Hills County Fire District. 134 people spoke in favor of keeping a separate fire district because they've done a good job. But I'm sure we can do more removal of dead trees. As Stan said, there's still a lot in town, a lot of brush, and we need to step that up as much as possible. And also clean along the roads and creeks, because I think there's some issues with cleaning up along the creeks because they're a riparian environment. But we need to make sure that we have as much clear property as we can get in town to avoid fires. And also the local control is important. The CERT team was very strong and very active, and then the county took it over and it has kind of become not as active and viable as it was. So we need to make sure that we have a strong CERT team, because in an emergency, we're going to need every person possible to help. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Schmidt.
So I'm pretty excited of what happened in the Board of Supervisors meeting, because I think this gives us a real opportunity to be creative. Itzi Cooperis has mentioned several times that one of the advantages of the LAHCFD is that we are small and nimble. We have good funding. I think we have an opportunity working with the town staff and very creative residents, which we have, and committed residents, which we have, to come up with some more creative ways to do fire hardening. We have a great test tube to work with in our town. We've got a lot of desire to get there. So I think we ought to be creative, and I think we have the components to do that. We have the knowledge to do that, and we have the commitment to do that. So I think we should see this as a real opportunity to step back, look at the whole fire hardening program and see how we can make it work really, really well, and will become an example for other towns such as ours. So I think this is a great time to be able to work on this problem.
Thank you. We're about to go on to question 4. Okay, and the first person to answer question 4 is going to be Raj Reddy. And the question is, what policies can be implemented to help address climate change? Mr. Reddy, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you. The following policies aid in reduction of greenhouse gases and help regarding climate change. The town of Los Altos Hills has a climate change plan set of policies and programs for reducing greenhouse gases. This is mandated by California Global Warming Act, AB 32. The plan is monitored periodically to ensure compliance to AB 32. Also, all the buildings in Los Altos Hills need to comply with green building standards. The benefits of green building program includes providing indoor healthier environment, reducing waste in landfills, and reducing greenhouse gases. Also, we are affiliated with Silicon Valley Clean Energy Authority, which provides the community choice aggregation program where residents have access to cleaner, greener electric power options and improve town's performance against greenhouse gas reduction targets. And
Thank you.
lastly,
Sir,
thank you.
your time is up.
Thanks.
Thank you. Lisa Schmidt.
I was afraid I was always going to be last. Wow, this is my favorite topic. And it's not unrelated to the previous topic, which was what we did about fire. There are so many things our town can do, again, because we're creative, we're committed. Warren, let's electrify all our homes. My husband and I are rather fanatical about this. We've gotten rid of all the gas in our home. And the utilities or the appliances we replaced them with work far better than any of the gas appliances we had. We can get better about our transportation. Electrifying our cars, it's great. If you've driven an electric car, you know it's a wonderful thing. There's going to be more and more push from the state, from Silicon Valley Clean Energy, to go to clean electricity. And as the electrical grid becomes greener and greener, electricity is a far better source of energy that we can use. So there are so many things we can do as a town. We, as Raj said, we have a climate action plan. We need to follow through on it, and we need to be very aggressive about this because it's such an important issue for our children.
Thank you. Jay Sutaria.
I believe it's important to address global warming. That said, I generally tend towards encouraging residents via education and incentives rather than increased regulations. For instance, the town used to offer an MDA bonus to encourage solar installations. I believe this was a more effective way of encouraging people to help the town achieve its environmental goals rather than imposing new requirements. I'd also like to see the town find ways to encourage higher energy efficiency, deconstruction rather than demolition for rebuilds and remodels, and encourage further reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. But where regulation may be necessary, in addition to an upfront investment in education, I would also want to see the town proactively inform residents about the problems we're trying to solve and encourage more discussion and feedback before any proposal reaches the Planning Commission or Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Stanley Mock.
I am really a proponent of solar power. I want to be able to put up as much solar power as possible on any rooftop. I want to be able to go off the grid. I want to be able to get batteries to store the energy that we've produced. I want to be able to use electric vehicles because of the energy that we have produced will be far more than what we need. We want to be able to take some of that power and put it back into the system. And the reason that I believe this is because yes, there is some global warming. Yes, there are greenhouse emissions, and I want to be able to conserve as much as humanly possible. So the efficiencies in the house, double pane windows, installation in the roofs. If you take a look at being off-grid, we can have separate electric generators. If in fact we don't have enough solar power, all these things can be done. The MDA bonus would be huge. I would give it like 1,000 square feet if we put solar on the roofs. It wasn't that before.
Thank you. Linda Swan.
Hi. Well, I believe we have an obligation to do something, do our part for climate change. If wildfires is our number one issue in town, for the world, it's climate change. And our hot, dry summers are showing us that it's important. And I agree that we have to provide incentives to reduce our power usage. As we said, that they did a good job with that in solar panels. We need to do more of that. Encourage electric cars, have charging stations, making sure our building standards are as green as possible so that our buildings require as little power as possible. so that we can do our part and help us and the world on this a very, very important issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to question 5. And question 5 is going to go to Lisa Schmidt. Is it possible to increase zoning density and retain the character of the community? Please discuss.
That is a tough question, and it's a tough issue, and it's one I think we're going to have to think about really hard. So ADUs are here. We have to embrace them. It's going to happen, and it's a good thing, and we need to participate with the rest of the Bay Area and helping provide housing. We need to do our small part. Are there ways that we can make ADUs more conforming to our current standards? Can we make them more fit in better with our environment? I know that we've tried to do that and it was shot down. Are there ways to go back to the state and see are there things that we could do that will make them fit into more of what we want inside of Los Altos Hills? Can we work with other large communities that have large acreage and come up with a way to support housing throughout the Bay Area? We can't turn our back on the issue. The need for housing and the need for more equity around here is very, very important. So we have to get creative about how we're going to solve it, or we'll just receive the solution from someone else.
Thank you. Stanley Mock.
I think that we have enough housing that is luxury housing in our town. What we need is affordable housing. And I can't see how affordable housing can be produced in our town. I would advocate a system of vouchers where we buy land in some other place and we develop properties some other place where we can do it affordably, so where people can actually afford to buy these homes where they don't have large mortgages. We can't do that in Los Altos Hills. The average lot price is $3.5 million just for the lot. We're not talking about putting a house on that lot. We're just talking about the land. How can you get affordable housing on that lot? It's virtually impossible. So I'd advocate a retention of the rural character of Los Altos Hills. If there's an ADU to be placed on the lots that we have, those ADUs would go to the owners of the property. Maybe they're elderly and they need them and they can rent out their larger space. But on the other hand, if we have a whole bunch of people trying to get in, they're not going to be able to do it affordably.
Thank you. Raj Reddy.
Yes, I pretty much agree with everything that's been said before me. These ADUs and supplemental units may be rented separately from the primary residence. You either rent the main houses or rent the ADUs and make it more density in terms of residential living. And as you know, the land and property values in Los Altos Hills are pretty steep. So it's very difficult to be able to have density right away. We need to have some very creative ways of doing it. And one of the ways I think is to be able to encourage all residents to build ADUs, supplemental units, and so that they can rent them out to other folks. And maybe we might even have a diversity of folks living in Los Altos Hills and provide. Thank you.
Linda Swan.
Well, the state has mandated that we help to solve the housing crisis, but this is very tough for Los Altos Hills because we have no multifamily housing and we have some unique infrastructure challenges. We have narrow roads, steep terrain. A lot of the town has no sewers. We have no public transportation. And so I think ADUs are about our only viable solution right now, unless we can do some housing vouchers to build some housing elsewhere. But we need to work with the residents and incentivize the homeowners to build the ADUs in the best way possible, so they provide the minimum impact on their neighbors. And I think that's about all we can do, and maybe work with other towns like Woodside and Portola Valley that have the same issue to come up with solutions for the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Sutaria.
True, our region faces a severe housing shortage, which is driving up rents and the cost of living throughout the Bay Area. Given much of the town is already developed, our ability to add new housing stock is limited. So encouraging creation of ADUs in a way which conforms to our setbacks and 1 acre minimums is a reasonable way to contribute to solving this regional problem without pushing our infrastructure past its breaking point. Unfortunately, state legislators have been pursuing a one-size-fits-all legislation approach, which would take away control of our own zoning. I'm worried that that could create unintended consequences if these laws don't consider local needs and local context. Fortunately, most of the bills considered this past session did not pass, but 2 did and were just signed by the governor. And there's a threat of even more in the next legislative session. We need to educate and inform our residents, as we did with fire district consolidation, and urge them to contact state officials. We have to band together with other cities and towns in our region to highlight the limits of our existing infrastructure and the huge cost of upgrading it. And we also have to work regionally to ensure that we have housing targets which are actually achievable. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going on to question 6. I love watching the name shuffle. Here we go. Raj Reddy again. Okay. Question 6, talk about the current town budget and what you would like to see in the next one. Does COVID-19 have an impact on either budget?
I'm sorry, could you please repeat the question for me?
Yes.
The current budget?
Talk about the current town budget and what you would like to see in the next one. Does COVID-19 have an impact on either budget?
Yes, to a certain degree, but the town of Los Altos Hills have managed the COVID situation extremely well. In fact, they have all the staff pretty much working full-time in the offices, and they have excellent service for contractors who come by. They have an outside space where they can come and submit their plans, etc. So overall, I think the town is handling the COVID extremely well. In terms of budgets, I think, like I said earlier, we should probably look into spending more of our funding towards fire safety and also towards infrastructure type of situations. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Schmidt.
I think Los Altos Hills is extraordinarily fortunate in this COVID situation, because we have essentially no revenue from commercial or other such hotel taxes. Our budget has really not been affected. In fact, according to the city, we're actually doing a little better because sales continue to increase and remodels are increasing. So our budget has not been hit by COVID, which is very fortunate. We should be very, very thankful for that. I think all of us, have agreed that fire hardening is an issue we want to address as a town. Again, I would push for a lot of creativity in doing that now that we perhaps have a little space to do that in. I think we could look at spending more money on pathways at this point. I think we need to be very careful about how we plan those, where they should go, but I think that's an opportunity. And I think, as Jay mentioned, we should go back to the residents and ask them what they think is important. It's about time to do another big city, a big survey for the city. I'll get that out in a second. But yeah, we should be thankful.
Thank you. Stanley Mock.
The city is currently cash flow positive. It hasn't gotten there because we haven't worked on it. I'm on the Finance and Investment Committee, as I've stated. 14 years, we've decided to reduce our costs on an annual basis. We've done this every single year, and The reason that we don't have a negative cash flow today is because we have really, as a city, managed our money really, really, really well. For the last 24 years, I've been here as a resident, and I've really loved the city. Going forward in the next 24 years, we cannot afford to have money that we have so little of. I object with Jay with respect to how much money we truly have, because we have so many things to do. I want to be able to retain what we have. I want to be able to put the infrastructure in. I want to be able to have that positive cash flow. And no, COVID has not impacted us. And if it has, it may be positive because our values are going up. This last year, we had $300,000 more than what we thought we were going to have. Yeah.
Thank you.
Never mind.
Thank you. Jay Sutaria.
So as Lisa said, our largest revenue source is property taxes, with the remainder coming from fees and charges. And while this helps insulate us somewhat from COVID-related loss of sales tax revenue, which is affecting neighboring cities, none of us have a crystal ball. We could be in a low interest rate environment for a long time, and we need to be more conservative in our spending right now. We should ensure our town's financial strength by re-examining our spending, as Stan mentioned, to make sure we're fully recovering our costs, fully funding our obligations, managing the town's assets responsibly, and providing the services our residents want. Yes, I oppose the costly $3 million town hall expansion. I believe it should be put on hold. It yields very little bang for the buck, and cheaper options such as an internal remodel should be fully explored before proposing new construction. We also need to fix our RFP process so we do not again get stuck with signing a major contract with no competing bids, as happened with our 15-year, $55 million green waste garbage contract. The town waited too long, so no other vendors could take over the contract in time. These are the kinds of things that we need to pay attention to ensure the town's continued financial strength. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Swan.
Well, because we have no retail in Los Altos Hills, we have not been hit as hard as other towns by the COVID crisis. We depend on the property taxes and fees. And I think the finance committee, which Stan is on, has done a good job of managing our finances and has put us in, I don't know, the top 5% of cities as far as financial stability goes. And so that's great. I also agree that we should not be spending money on the town hall expansion right now or the snack shack. Those are very expensive and I don't think they're really needed. And like some of the other people said, we need to spend on undergrounding and fire hardening and some more pressing issues in town right now. And I'm just thankful that we do have such a good financial position and have been able to survive this crisis.
Thank you. So it's time for our last question. Let's see who Mr. Timer says is. There we go. I was waiting for Linda Swan to be first for one of these. Okay, so Ms. Swan, you're going to be first up for the last question. And that question is, what issue should we have asked about and why?
Well, I think that you should have asked, what should the voters look for in a candidate? What strengths would you like to see? And I think there are a lot of skills that the town council members will need: the ability to collaborate, to listen to the residents, to come up with innovative plans. And I think that my experiences have cultivated those skills. And I think the town council members should have the ability to work well with the town staff and the city manager and work through some of these issues, because you never know what issues will be facing us in the future. As 2020 has showed us, it's all a surprise at what's going to happen next. And so you just need flexibility and creativity. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay Sutaria.
So I think it's important to consider the question of how the town should understand what its residents need and want. And I would say to that question, I think that we need to encourage more engagement with the public. I think resident surveys can help, but I think surveys can be tricky. How the question is asked can influence the result. And when the town fails to follow through on survey results, that can also influence whether and how people respond. Voices participating in discussions on townwide issues shouldn't be limited to just the 150 or so volunteers who participate in committees. We need to hear from a broader cross-section of the community, people who aren't committee members, but who do care about the issues and want to weigh in and want their voices to be heard. We'd also like to see more proactive communication to the town, holding more town hall meetings and community forums, summarizing agendas and discussion topics so residents are more informed, and we should be telling people about what issues are going to be discussed well in advance so people have the chance to participate and weigh in. I think it's important that even though we moved, many of us, for the semi-rural environment and 1 acre zoning, we don't always agree on everything. But I think that diversity of thought is important.
Thank you. Lisa Schmidt.
Well, you guys hit pretty much all the questions that I thought you were going to hit, and I think you covered some great territory. I'm going to sound like I'm parroting Jay here, and I'm sorry for that, Jay, but I agree. I think it's really important that we generate more communication in the town in general, and that's from people that are serving on committees and are part of the governance, getting more information out to residents in a way that residents can consume it and it's not onerous. And I would like to find a way to get more information from residents back to us. I think the communication we put out now is rather monolithic and heavy. Is there a way we can have a better exchange between people that is not overly burdensome or require a big commitment of time? We need to get more people involved in committees. That's really important. But I would like to try some of those things. I've been trying one through my website. Can we have a weekly newsletter that people subscribe to? So yeah, that would be the thing that I would like to talk some more about. So yes, Jay, I agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Raj Reddy.
Thank you. I don't know what else I can add. Everything has been said already. But the key thing is we do need to communicate with our residents. Absolutely, because I agree with the earlier statements. We have lots of committees and lots of residents working in the committees, but you'll be surprised. The other residents are not very familiar with what the committees are doing and what's going on in town. So really actually need to reach out to them. And we can reach out in several ways. We can actually mail postcards to them, asking their opinions on several issues of town, and have a reach out programs where you can actually invite them and have a discussion on the various needs of our town and see what their opinion is. So we can do a lot more than we're doing right now. And like I said, I'm repeating myself. Everybody else has pretty much stated what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Last up, Stanley Mock.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak last on this specific topic here. I think that I'm really surprised that you guys didn't ask anything about the committees that we have in town, because they do so much work. And I really do appreciate them. They do have opinions. I think that we should honor our committees. I think that we should compensate them in some fashion by a bit of the attaboy, type of thing here. So when we have a task to accomplish, it's either going to be time or money. Are we going to spend money from our staff, or are we going to get our committee to make the right recommendations so we don't have to spend the money? Take a look at the fire district, for example. The fire district since 1939 has saved on average maybe about $300,000 a year. This is on the backs of volunteers. Those volunteers were not compensated. Those volunteers should be looked up to for the work that they've done for the entire community that we have here. We should do the same in Los Altos Hills for the committees that we have.
Good timing.
On the money.
Yes. So we promised you a 1-minute closing statement. So, and I know a lot of you have said you've said everything you wanted to say, but we're going to give you 1 minute more each. And the first person up is going to be Jay Sutaria.
I just wanted to say thank you to all the attendees and to the League for sponsoring tonight's event. I appreciate the opportunity to address you all, and I want to hear from residents so I can effectively represent and serve you. You can visit my website at j4lahcouncil.com. Please contact me. I'm running for City Council because I believe that the residents deserve a town government which will proactively address fire risk, spend money responsibly, serve the residents, foster community, and preserve our semi-rural environment. I oppose the $3 million town hall expansion and the $500,000 snack shack, and I want to see the town fix internal procedures which led to our 15-year, $55 million non-competitive garbage contract with Green Waste. I respectfully request your vote. If elected, it would be my honor and privilege to put the people of Los Altos Hills first. I will fight for what's right, and I pledge to work tirelessly to ensure responsive government and to preserve our town for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Raj Reddy.
Thank you. I'm running to represent the residents of Los Altos Hills. Please visit my website, readyforcouncil.org, and contact me. I am committed to listening to you and understand the needs of our residents and community. I have proven ability to collaborate with our town's city staff to develop solutions and analyze information objectively. I've proven leadership skills working with large multinational corporates and volunteer organizations. I have managed large budgets, worked with teams, resolved challenging issues while building consensus. My extensive corporate experience in energy, utilities, and infrastructure would be a valuable asset to our council, considering our town's current needs of fire safety, underground wires, and infrastructure. We need someone who understands our town's history while also bringing a fresh perspective to the changing needs of our town. I respectfully ask for your vote and look forward to serving you. Thank you.
Thank you. Stanley Mock.
The next 4 years will present many challenges. Let's bring Los Altos Hills into the 21st century. Let's underground our utilities for wind, earthquake, and fire protection. Let's bring fast and dependable internet to Los Altos Hills, dependable. Let's embrace our town's volunteers and reward them for their time and energy. Let's make sure that Los Altos Hills is using its money wisely. Let's put in place process and procedures to get things done right so that we blow it again. I will listen to all sides in detail and come to the proper conclusion. I do not come to the council with any agenda other than to be a steward for the town's finances. And yes, I will do to the best of my capability to serve Los Altos Hills. Vote for Stan Mock for Los Altos Hills City Council. That's Stan for lahcitycouncil.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Schmidt.
Thank you. I don't know if I feel exactly like Kamala Harris and Mike Pence did, but this is a somewhat tense thing to do. And I think it was really nice that we could all do it so collaboratively. Well, when you're voting for someone, I think you're going to be voting for someone. We don't know the issues that are going to come up for the next 4 years. So while we all have, I think, fairly similar stances on current issues, and that's nice to see, I think we can all work together pretty well. There's going to be things that come up that we can't foresee now. So I think you ought to consider voting for someone you think will be an independent thinker, someone that looks at the future situations and tries to be objective and clear-headed about it. I put on my website that I pledge to listen respectfully, collaborate, and build consensus, and then own the decisions. So I view this as a process that we go forward and keep doing it. Like everyone else, I would love for you to come to my website, lisaschmidt.org. And I look forward to talking to as many of you as possible. Please, please contact me. I'd enjoy speaking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Swan.
Thank you. I believe that all my experiences and the knowledge I've gained and endorsements I've received show that I'm well qualified to take on the job of council member. We live in the innovation capital of the world, so we should have world-class town services. I will act thoughtfully, responsibly, and with integrity to ensure the strong financial position of the town is put to the best use for its residents. Wildfire prevention, and insurance cancellations are the most urgent issues facing the town. We must act proactively to prevent these issues from negatively affecting us. We need to ensure that town hall is managed efficiently so that lapses like the lack of planning and renewing the garbage contract are avoided. I will set priorities, focus on them, listen to residents. You can call me, and help lead Los Altos Hills into the future. Please vote for me, Linda G. Swan, and my website is lindaforlahcouncil.com. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'd like to thank all of the candidates for participating and all the volunteers who made this forum possible. The League of Women Voters believes that a democratic government depends upon the informed and active participation of its citizens, and we hope that the insights you have gained from this forum will help you in planning your vote. To look at a personalized ballot with information about your candidates and ballot initiatives, please visit the Voters Edge website at www.votersedge.org. Voters Edge also provides helpful information about major donors and supporters of candidates and initiatives. When this forum closes, our webpage will appear showing our election events, including links to recordings of those that have already occurred. For the November 3rd election, please vote early and deposit your signed ballot in a ballot drop box or mailbox as soon as possible. Thank you for helping make our democracy work. And this concludes our forum. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Ellen.
Thank you.